Hello and welcome all the Web3 enthusiasts. This is Max speaking, and we continue Synopsis talks and bringing to you guys awesome projects and awesome speakers to get know more about them. And today I'm excited to host an interview with Dan Reecer from Wormhole. I think everybody in Web3 nowadays know this project, yeah, I think the discussion is gonna be hot. So to begin with, the first one and one of the most important questions to Dan is, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so see you in a good mood, and it's a good start for our discussion. So I have a bunch of questions prepared as usual, and let's shoot them one by one and get our interview going. So from now and on, we decided to not just speak about the projects only, but also to introduce more background of our speakers. And so today we want to begin with a question about you, Dan. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your personal journey in Web3? Was it an easy one?
Never easy. Yeah, the journey started back in 2013. I had a class and I did a 1-year master's program at the end of my university and learned about Bitcoin randomly in a security class where we were learning about like the deep web and everything that was kind of going on back then, which included Bitcoin. So I started taking just on my own time, like doing these classes that Andreas Antonopoulos was kind of releasing online. So started learning about Bitcoin in my free time, kept it as a hobby for about 4 years when I was working in the pharmaceutical industry at Eli Lilly. That's kind of what kicked off my marketing background that I've kind of carried through my career. So spent time there, was dabbling in crypto, and then in early 2018 left the pharma industry to where I thought I was going to go get my MBA. But in the 6 months that I had time off, I took a internship in crypto for fun and moved from my hometown to Austin, Texas, and worked for one of the earlier teams in this interoperability space called WanChain. They were started out of China, and they had a US office in Austin. So got my start there, spent about a year and a half there, and then moved over to the Web3 Foundation, which is the team that started Polkadot. So I was there 2019, got to work on the launch of Polkadot, and spent 4 years total in that ecosystem doing various things, one of which was working on Akala, which was another blockchain kind of built on Polkadot. So at that point, I had done a lot of marketing, community, some BD growth type of things, and then I got to know the Wormhole team because Akala kind of connected to the Wormhole network for their chain. And then the opportunity came where Robinson, who I had previously worked with, went to help kind of start the Wormhole Foundation, and he gave me a call and wanted me to come with him to do that. So we started the Wormhole Foundation, like really starting to grow the foundation a couple of years ago, and since then have grown the team to around 30 now. We've also funded via the foundation 3 other entities that build Wormhole. So it's a pretty unique set of teams in the industry that's very decentralized, like four core teams building Wormhole, and then even outside of that, core circle, we've got teams building on Wormhole for ZK. We have developer teams helping with documentation and tutorials and things like this. So that's kind of where I am today. I'm kind of co-leading the foundation with Robinson. I do a lot of the operations, marketing, community side of things. And then Robinson also, he does a lot of the operations as well, but he's kind of a BD and sales machine. So he does kind of that and strategy, product, things like that. So I'm very happy with the teams that we've built up and the team that we have at the foundation at this point.
Well, thank you. It's always very interesting to know the path which you made from like a hobby and hearing about Bitcoin somewhere, and let's just see where we now. So thank you for this rewind, and let's move on and speak more about Wormhole actually. So Wormhole started as a token bridge and has grown into an interoperability platform. What is the main problem that you address? Data silos, lack of liquidity, or anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, we started out actually in 2020 was when Wormhole first began. There was a team of developers who built the first version after receiving a grant from the Solana Foundation. And the original problem being solved was, hey, we're launching this new chain. We think it has a lot of potential, Solana, but we need connectivity to the outside world, being other blockchains. So Wormhole's original purpose was to connect Solana to Ethereum. Obviously, since then, we've grown into this platform of multiple products and over 30 chains connected and so on. But the problems that we solve, the original problem I just told you, the problems that we solve now, there's actually several. And just to simply break down like the types of teams or people who use Wormhole, it comes down to chains. So if you're a new blockchain, there's a problem. You need connectivity for growing your users, growing your liquidity, just building up your ecosystem. The other category is applications. So if you're an app built on a chain that's already connected to Wormhole, like Base or like Solana or Ethereum, you need people to come use your application. You need liquidity to come in if you're like a lending market or a DEX. So those applications also need Wormhole for that in and outflow of liquidity. Tokens. So if you're a token like wrap staked ETH from the Lido team or like MakerDAO, which just rebranded to Sky, they have their Sky token and they have their stablecoin USDS, which used to be called DAI. These are all examples of tokens that were launched on one chain, but then they realized quickly that they need to be everywhere. They need to be accessed by, DEXs and money markets on Solana, as well as all the EVMs and so on. So we're also solving this problem for them of just distribution from their original chain to all the other chains that have a lot of activity. Number four, even more recently, is institutions. So institutions want to be, a lot of these institutions now want to be on chain. People are thinking about stable coins, they're tokenizing assets. But again, for the same reason why USDC and Circle want to be on every chain, so do these institutions. They need distribution across a wider group of users to grow their products. So that's another one, another problem we're solving. And then last is DAOs. So voting and governance has historically been done only on one chain. If you're Uniswap, you have governance on Ethereum mainnet. I can't hold uni tokens on Arbitrum and vote on Ethereum mainnet. I have to bridge my tokens to Ethereum and then vote on Ethereum, which is expensive because Ethereum gas fees are high. So what we're also solving soon with our multi-gov product is multi-chain governance, allowing for the first time ever people to vote in a DAO from any chain, any EVM, also including Solana. And all those votes get kind of rolled into one voting system that takes place on whatever kind of hub chain they choose. But yeah, that's the five kind of main audiences that Wormhole is working with now. And as you can see, solving various problems across these different types of developer teams.
Oh, thank you. So easy going when you put it like 1, 2, 3, like point by point, and so clear it is. Thank you. So let's move on to the question number 3. And we heard that Google Cloud is now a validator node on your Guardian network. Plus, Google Cloud does a security upgrade for your network. Is this collaboration focused on the network side only, or is its scope bigger than that?
Yeah, security is always going to be our number one priority. We've done a lot of work over the past 4 years on security. The main security system that kind of operates the Wormhole platform in general is called the Wormhole Guardians. This is 20 validator nodes that are essentially validating the validity or the accuracy of any transaction going through Wormhole. So this could be any sort of data like Uniswap governance data, or it could be, value transferring from one chain to another. So just to break that down for you real quick, if you're sending, let's say USDC from Ethereum to Solana, You will send the USDC that will create what we call a VAA. It's basically just a packet of data that will go into the Guardian set, and 13 of the essentially 19 or 20 Guardians need to basically give a stamp of approval, like, yes, that is valid. They pass it on to what's called a relayer. And the relayers, you can think of it kind of like a delivery service, a mailman, whatever you want to call it. They pick up that message and then they take it to the destination, which in this case is Solana. And that's delivered to Solana, and it's either going into the user's wallet, it might be going into an application or what have you. But everything that's going through Wormhole right now is verified by the Guardian. So it's a very important and critical part of how Wormhole works. So that is what Google Cloud is joining. They're becoming our 20th Guardian and contributing to securing and beefing up the security of Wormhole in general. You asked about the collaboration. So that's the main point of collaboration. And then what we actually discovered as we started working with Google Cloud is they're also doing a lot and interested in the zero knowledge space, or the ZK space. And Wormhole is working on a lot of ZK products and research right now. So one is to help Wormhole expand to more chains outside of the initial 30 to 40 chains that we support right now, getting into hundreds, if not thousands of chains, which requires being able to allow new blockchains to permissionlessly connect to Wormhole. Right now, the Guardians, need to work with these chains, run a full node. It takes a lot of time and effort. In the future, we want to be able to scale faster without permission. And the other piece is adding trustlessness to the verification of messages. Like I told you, the Guardians right now are validating every message that goes through Wormhole. But those 19, 20 Guardians are trusted and known entities. What ZK will allow is to remove trust and have the messages be verified trustlessly via zero knowledge proofs on the source chain and the destination chain. So ZK research and ZK product development is another thing we're collaborating with on Google. Then the last thing I'll mention is just more of a developer ecosystem growth type of initiative. So an example of this is we are launching on October 14th what's called a Wormhole Sigma. And this is a three-part, it's a competition. It's similar to a hackathon, an accelerator, and then a feed funding program. And Google Cloud is sponsoring this event and offering cloud credits and support for developers who are participating in this Sigma program.
Well, thank you. Extremely clear and sounds like a great collaboration indeed. So let's continue this topic a little bit about collaboration, about securities, and a little bit about real-world assets. So Wormhole has recently partnered with Securitize. How big do you think is the real-world assets market right now? Can you say that together with Securitize, you serve more than half of it? And what is the share of real-world assets in your total operations at the moment, and how do you expect it to change in the future? So a bunch of questions. If you need, I can repeat it one by one.
Yeah, I've actually got it up in front of me, so that helps. One thing I'd say is I should have known about this sooner, but I didn't. This website called RWA.xyz is really good. It's like a dashboard essentially around everything to do with RWAs. So when you ask the question of what the size of the RWA market is, I actually just went straight there. So it's, as of now, 12.8 billion. And to put that into perspective, the total treasury bill market in the world is 25 trillion. So we aren't even like scratching the surface as far as the potential of the RWA market, but it's exciting to see it grow. Securitize, last I heard, just crossed $1 billion in on-chain TVL essentially in their tokenized assets. So that's, yeah, 1 out of 12.8 is the percentage that Securitize and their clients kind of make up of that total market. But yeah, we're really excited about working with Securitize as well as all of their partners that they're bringing on chain. So just to kind of summarize what we announced, this is something we announced in Singapore just a couple weeks ago, but we're the official interoperability provider for all current and future tokenized assets that Securitize is launching. So that includes their current customers. So they're already working with BlackRock, with KKR, and with Hamilton Lane. And then when those teams begin going cross chain, they'll all be using Wormhole, and you'll hear about that. And then the other exciting thing is all of their future customers, so as they expand to more and more of these asset managers, banks, and so on, they'll all be tokenizing with Securitize and then going multi-chain with Wormhole. So lots to come, definitely on this partnership and how this will grow. And then in terms of Securitize's on-chain volume, I know they're at 1 billion now. I'm sure they have aspirations to be in the hundreds of billions, if not trillions, down the road as this market grows.
Wow, how easily you overcame this mess of these questions I forwarded to you. So thank you. And let's move on to question number 5. So in the Web3 industry, there are opposing views on whether new apps or better infrastructure should come first before a qualitative leap forward happens. What's your take?
Yeah, I think we need both. We're definitely at the point now where infrastructure is much improved versus where it was 4 to 8 years ago. We have fast and cheap blockchains now, like Solana. We're getting new ones like Monad. There's also slower but highly secure blockchains like Ethereum that institutions are more likely to use and trust. So we've got the infrastructure. What we're kind of missing now is just like really good consumer facing apps. One team that we're really excited about is Infinex. This is a new DeFi platform that's been built, started by Kane, who built the Synthetics protocol. Infinex is really like in this like next generation type of DeFi application that's really optimizing for ease of use, user experience, as well as security. So if you actually go and onboard to Infinex, you can create an account, log in with your email, and then your password is a pass key either through your phone or through your computer. And then you log in, you can transfer money in, and all these actions that you're taking are very fast, cheap, and easy. Just onboarded with them recently, and it's a really great experience to see kind of like where the cutting edge of crypto and DeFi UX can be. I'm also hearing more about consumer-facing apps that are going mobile first. There's a few examples of these. One team that's doing a really good job in kind of incubating these use cases is the Alliance DAO team. Alliance DAO started out as the DeFi Alliance, and then they have evolved over time into the Alliance DAO. I think they're still based in Chicago, but do a lot of work in New York. But their whole thing now is focusing on consumer apps and just making sure that these apps are easy to use, many times mobile first, and attacking some sort of a use case that can get traction. Like we saw in FriendTech that didn't end too well, but this is also exciting to start to think about, okay, like maybe in this next year, 2 years, we're going to start seeing applications that maybe even non-crypto people begin using because they're fun or because they're a better experience than they can get anywhere else in the Web 2 world. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. So we need both. Get it. Okay, please tell us about Wormhole Era 3 and Era 4. Which one are you currently at, and what updates will they bring?
Yeah. So Era 3 is basically Wormhole V3. We just launched this also in Singapore a couple weeks ago. We broke the Wormhole kind of like history down into 3 parts up to now, and then going forward we'll continue on that path. So Era 1 was when we first launched Wormhole, the original token bridge. Era 2 was when we released the general message passing protocol for any sort of data to flow between chains. And then Era 3, let me take a sip of water real quick. Era 3 was a huge launch for us that we spent months building. Didn't talk much about publicly until we released it, but it's a few things. So the biggest one is called composable intents. The word intents is definitely something, if you're following the interoperability or cross-chain space, you're going to begin hearing, probably already are hearing, but begin hearing more and more. This is the easiest way to explain this. And I'm a non-technical person, so I always need to understand things in ways that are easy to explain. So an intent is basically just like when you're going to an app, what is the intent or what is the goal of the user? So in this case, it would be a cross-chain swap, let's say from ETH on Ethereum mainnet to Sol on Solana. You just want to do a cross-chain swap. But the problem with that is that Ethereum's block time is 15 minutes. So typically with these burn and mint bridges, you're having to wait 15 minutes for Ethereum's next block to be final. Then you can trust that you're okay to do that transfer to Solana. In the case of intents, teams like Across are doing this, Wormhole, and other teams. There are these actors in the middle called solvers that are essentially taking in the asset and fronting that asset to the user and taking on the risk that Ethereum in this, 1 in a million chance would have a rollback in their blocks. So by having that solver in the middle, they're allowing the user to get their token on the destination chain in many cases in only 8 to 10 seconds instead of waiting 15 minutes. So this is what we just rolled out for Wormhole, which is these intents. So you can do cross-chain swaps in, like I said, 8 to 10 seconds. So that's a big one for Wormhole. And that has another cascading effect on two things. So one, we called it composable intents because any application can build on top of this. So Mayan is a team that's building their swaps using Wormhole intents, the composable intents product. And then we've also embedded this into, or at least the X Labs team has embedded this into the Portal product. And Portal is one of the main front ends of Wormhole. So when you go to Portal now, that was another part of this Era 3 launch. It had a major upgrade. So the user experience, speed, cost, and just general ease of use has increased significantly. So going to Portal is now a very pleasant experience of just going, taking these tokens across chains. A couple of the other parts of Era 3 were more developer technical focused. So Wormhole Connect is one of our products to just embed Wormhole within applications that had an upgrade. Our SDK that developers use to build with Wormhole was just upgraded. Wormhole Scan is very interesting, actually. If you go to wormholescan.io, I think it's one of the most interesting views of the current trends and activity within crypto, because what you can see is all the flows to and from all the chains that are connected to Wormhole. So Sui, for example, right now is, I think a lot of people are talking about it. They're getting a lot of traction. We knew about this 10 months ago, 12 months ago, because we could see all the activity flowing into Sui. So we were like, what's going on in that ecosystem? Like, what are people going there to use? Why are these DeFi applications growing so much? Various reasons. Their foundation's been doing a good job incentivizing activity. They have a lot of developer traction in their ecosystem. But what I'm saying is on Wormhole Scan, we're able to see that. So it's interesting to just keep an eye on every once in a while to see what's going on. Right now, you'll still see Sui at the top in terms of the amount going into these blockchains. Solana is always near the top. Ethereum as well, Arbitrum, pretty much the chains that you would expect, but there's ones that are a bit surprising, and then you can start to spot trends. So that's it for Era 3, summarizing kind of everything that just recently went out. And then Era 4 is kind of the next phase of things. So that involves many different aspects of product launches. One that I'll call out, and I know maybe we'll get into a bit more later, is the multi-gov product. So this is what I was mentioning around being able to vote on various chains. We're expecting this to come out sometime in December. So this will be another major part of this kind of next phase of Wormhole.
Oh yeah, what you tell is everything sounds awesome, and okay, looking forward to seeing what Era 4 brings. Well, thank you. And moving on. So the next question is, how far along is Wormhole in the process of decentralizing protocol governance and put it in hands of token holders?
Yeah, it's a step-by-step process. So multi-gov that I just mentioned, we actually, I mean, this is how products should be built. We are solving our own problem. We're building the product for ourselves. So if the product is great for us, we know it's going to also be great for other DAOs that are already asking us to start using multi-gov. So what we've done so far is governance and delegation. So basically, like, staking your tokens to someone else where you're allowing them to vote on your behalf. That's what delegation is. That is live on the EVM side. So chains like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and so on. What has taken us a little bit more time is the Solana part of this implementation. Solana is it's not EVM, it's a different virtual machine, which makes it just more difficult to build. And just because the chain is a little bit newer than Ethereum, the governance ecosystem is a little bit less developed. So we've had to build a lot from scratch. But the good news is we're on track to launch this in December. And then this will basically merge this governance system with the EVM side. So anyone holding W will be able to vote on governance proposals on any of these chains. And like I mentioned earlier, all of these votes will get aggregated together into one general vote outcome. So this is going live in December, and then we'll have a lot of other DAOs, both Ethereum-based DAOs and Solana DAOs, implementing multi-gov for their governance so that we can start to see more teams kind of operating across chains instead of being siloed to just one network.
Perfect, thank you. So the next question, my colleagues asked me to include it in this list. So actually, everyone likes to know about bull markets and so on. So if we take for granted that the current bull market cycle is starting, so in your opinion, what are its major narratives?
Yeah. So right now, yeah, I think like if you look back at history, these cycles tend to go in like 4-year cycles. So yeah, 2024 is kind of like being in 2020. So I think we're on the cusp of potentially another cycle. We'll see what happens. I think that the US election will have an impact on this and global geopolitical things, but we'll see what happens. I think trends, some of the bigger trends right now, there are so many stable coins coming out. So a lot of, if not all of the next generation stablecoins are all choosing Wormhole for their multi-chain solution. So we're going to begin rolling out a lot of these even this month. So this is exciting just to see more and more kind of institutional grade stablecoins coming into this on-chain world. And a lot of the people launching the stablecoins do come from the traditional finance world. So I think a lot of it maybe was impacted by Circle, Coinbase, and also USDT and Tether. Like these institutions are probably observing the amount of revenues that those entities are generating just by holding those treasury bills that are backing the stable coins. So stable coins is definitely one. I think Bitcoin will continue to be a trend in terms of on-chain Bitcoin. So we work really closely with the Threshold team. TBTC, in my opinion, is the best form of on-chain Bitcoin right now. WBTC is going through a lot of problems given the Justin Sun issue and everything like that. So hopefully we'll start to see more and more of the Bitcoin liquidity flowing into TBTC. But at the same time, there's a lot of other entities right now launching their own kind of wrapper for Bitcoin. And there's going to be multiple types of Bitcoin on chain, similar to how we're seeing several different stable coins on chain. So that's a couple bigger ones. And then I mentioned this earlier, but the consumer app trend, I think will continue if we can keep getting more and more user-friendly kind of, delightful experiences on even mobile first applications. That will likely be something that we see in the next cycle. And I guess on that same note, prediction markets, that's been a a big surprise for me at least, which is the traction that Poly Market has gotten, especially by taking advantage of the election cycle. The biggest question for Poly Market and all these prediction markets is what do you do after the US election is over? How do you keep attention? How do you go after sports and maybe go compete with like DraftKings and these fantasy sport applications, or do you go event based? I'm not sure what their plan will be, but it'll be interesting to watch Polymarket's traction after the election more so than now during the election craziness, because of course there's a lot of momentum there. So yeah, so we'll see. I'm probably missing some other things that'll come up in the bull market. I'm not a big like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about like meme coins and stuff. Hopefully that doesn't continue to grow. It's not great for the industry. Hopefully we get more people interested in the real types of applications.
Okay, thank you. Hope so too, actually. So yeah, it's always interesting also to hear like in almost every interview or 99% of the interviews we host like about elections in the US in this or that way. So the entire industry and the entire world is waiting for the results from one country. Okay, let's see how it will go. Okay, we're getting closer to the end, and before we finish today's discussion with our traditional question, one more thing to ask. So, do you think DeFi will return to retail users, and is this something Wormhole would like to see happen?
Yeah, I mean, what I mentioned about Infinex is a good example. The DeFi experience just I think several things happened when interest rates went up. That impacted a lot of the general DeFi and even stablecoin returns because a lot of people were actually going into the traditional market to hold T-bills and earn like 5.3% there. As interest rates kind of continue to fluctuate, we'll probably see impact on DeFi actual yield potential. So that is, of course, one thing that drives interest in DeFi is if the potential yield in DeFi is more attractive than things like T-bills or stocks. So that's one thing. The user experience. So these new applications, Synonym is another example, Curvance is another. We're seeing a new generation of applications that are also building DeFi applications natively multi-chain from day one, instead of launching on one chain and then thinking about going multi-chain later. So these are other examples of things that are going to help DeFi adoption and experience, because people might want to come on and be able to use some of their tokens on Base and also, leverage the Solana blockchain in the background, but never have to leave that one UI. So again, if you go check out some of these apps that I just mentioned, onboard to their application, just begin messing around. There's no better way to learn about DeFi than just going in and actually using the apps. And yeah, to answer your other question, yeah, Wormhole definitely wants to see that happen. DeFi, stable coins, some NFTs, not as much. These are the things that are driving cross-chain activity, and we're in the business of, helping facilitate as much cross-chain economic activity across these networks as possible.
Okay, got it. So thank you very much. It was super interesting and pretty insightful. I think we highlighted a lot of recent news on Wormhole, and a lot of big things are yet to come. So before we finish, our traditional question. Actually, in the beginning, we discussed a little bit your path in Web3 and how skeptic you were, and maybe how you just took Bitcoin as a hobby and so on. So could you please share some piece of advice with our audience, especially with those of them who are just getting on board? So what to start with, and how to get the most of being involved into this Web3 ocean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If there's probably a lot of people who are interested in either like learning more about crypto or even working in the industry. I think the biggest things are, yeah, learn as much as you can. And then if you want to work in the industry, just get your foot in the door, like virtually anywhere. Make sure the team has morals and ethics and things like that, but get your foot in the door. It doesn't matter what the title is. If you're taking a demotion, I did that several times. Like, just it doesn't matter. Go in, and there's nothing like just getting day by day experience. And then you'll continue to work your way up and get onto more interesting protocols, and eventually you'll become kind of an expert. But the other part of that is you have to work really, really hard to really make it at all. There's a lot of people who don't. So if you work really hard, you're always going to stand out and keep learning and so on. But then the other thing is like treating people well and being a good person goes a long way. This industry is still very small. So if people are not treating people well, doing dirty things, it gets out very quickly and will backfire quickly. So work hard, be nice to people, be a good partner. And then then that's pretty much it. Follow the trends of where things are going. Follow the good teams. Good founders are definitely something like earlier in people's career. Like if you can pick out people who are good technical founders, but also understand the importance of business development, marketing, things like this. That oftentimes gets lost by technical founders. So if you can find that dream founder who understands that both are important, that's also key. So yeah, just a few ideas, I guess.
Yeah, well, so it's very motivating, and I do hope that this advice will reach as many minds as possible, because it may sound pretty evident, and still many people are unfortunately missing this part. So yeah, guys, please educate yourself and be nice persons. So sounds like a wonderful finish for today's discussion. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining in, and looking forward to see you in more episodes of Synopsis.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so have a great day, and to all of our viewers, I wish the same. Maybe someone has night, whatever is in your region, guys. Take care. Bye bye. See you.
Bye.